Today is March 22nd. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps and 12 traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we are continuing our journey through Chapter 5, How It Works. We'll read the rest of page 68. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 10. We'll read 91. And of course, read the 24 hours a day and daily reflection. So with that, hope y'all are doing well this morning, my friends. Life is good over here. Once again, woke up sober this morning. No hangovers over here. No shakes. Although if I drink any more caffeine, I might have some shakes here. I got a giant cup of coffee in my Yoda mug. Life is good. So with that, let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. Alright, my friends, so if you recall from yesterday's reading, we read some pretty powerful stuff. In the last few days, we've been talking about Step 4. We had a concrete example of how to kind of list our inventory with those 3 columns. We talked about the sick man's prayer, which seems like such a paradox, right? That we pray for the people that we have resentments towards, but it's not really about getting them off the hook. It's more about letting go of our own bag of rocks, right? And eventually, the more we pray about them, the more that the resentment starts to fade away, which is crazy to think about, but I'm living proof that that is true. I have tried that and it works, and it's crazy to think about. And then yesterday, we talked a little bit about fear. One of the last lines we read yesterday is, we trust infinite God rather than our finite selves. We are in the world to play the role that He assigns. So we will continue that thought and read something pretty beautiful on page 68, beginning with the 3rd paragraph. Oh, and we're going to talk about sex too. So now that I got your attention, let's get to it. We never apologize to anyone for depending upon our Creator. We can laugh at those who think spirituality is the way of weakness. Paradoxically, it is the way of strength. The verdict of the ages is that faith means courage. All men of faith have courage. They trust their God. We never apologize for God. Instead, we let Him demonstrate through us what He can do. We ask Him to remove our fear and direct our attention to what He would have us be. At once, we commence to outgrow fear. Now about sex. Many of us needed an overhauling there. But above all, we tried to be sensible on this question. It's so easy to get way off the track. Here we find human opinions running to extremes, absurd extremes perhaps. One set of voices cry that sex is a lust of our lower nature, a base necessity for procreation. Then we have the voices who cry for sex and more sex, who bewail the institution of marriage, who think that most of the troubles of the race are traceable to sex causes. They think that we do not have enough of it, or that it isn't the right kind. They see its significance everywhere. One school would allow man no flavor for his fare, and the other would have us all on a straight pepper diet. We want to stay out of this controversy. We do not want to be the arbiter of anyone's sex conduct. We all have sex problems. We'd hardly be human if we didn't. What can we do about them? And we will find out tomorrow. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 10. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. And yesterday on page 90, we talked about the spot check inventory, and then the inventory that we do at the end of the day. And we will talk a little bit more about these inventories on page 91. In all these situations, we need self-restraint, honest analysis of what is involved, a willingness to admit when the fault is ours, and an equal willingness to forgive when the fault is elsewhere. We need not be discouraged when we fall into the error of our old ways, for these disciplines are not easy. We shall look for progress, not for perfection. Our first objective will be the development of self-restraint. This carries a top priority rating. When we speak or act hastily or rashly, the ability to be fair-minded and tolerant evaporates on the spot. One unkind tirade or one willful snap judgment can ruin our relationship with another person for a whole day or maybe a whole year. Nothing pays off like restraint of tongue and pen. We must avoid quick-tempered criticism and furious, power-driven argument. The same goes for sulking or silent scorn. These are emotional booby traps baited with pride and vengefulness. Our first job is to sidestep the traps. When we are tempted by the bait, we should train ourselves to step back and think. For we can neither think nor act to good purpose until the habit of self-restraint has become automatic. Disagreeable or unexpected problems are not the only ones that call for self-control. We must be quite as careful when we begin to achieve some measure of importance and material success. For no people have ever loved personal triumphs more than we have loved them. We drank of success as of a wine which could never fail to make us feel elated. When temporary good fortune came our way, we indulged ourselves in fantasies of still greater victories over people and circumstances. Thus, blinded by prideful self-confidence, we were apt to play the big shot. Of course, people turned away from us, bored or hurt. "24 hours a day, March 22nd. AA thought for the day. We're all looking for the power to overcome drinking. When we alcoholics come into AA, our first question is, how do I get the strength to quit? At first, it seems to us that we will never get the necessary strength. We see older members who have found the power that we're looking for, but we don't know the process by which they got it. This necessary strength comes in many ways. Have I found all the strength I need? Meditation for the day. You cannot have a spiritual need that God cannot supply. Your fundamental need is a spiritual need. The need of power to live the good life. The best spiritual supply is received by you when you want to pass it on to other people. You get it largely by giving it away. God gives you strength as you pass it on to another person. That strength means increased health. Increased health means more good work. And more good work means more people helped. And so it goes on. A constant supply to meet all spiritual needs. Prayer for the day. I pray that my spiritual need will be supplied by God. I pray that I may use the power I receive to help others. Daily Reflection, March 22nd. No more struggle. And we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 84. When AA found me, I thought I was in for a struggle, and that AA might provide the strength I needed to beat alcohol. Victorious in that fight, who knows what other battles I could win. I would need to be strong, though. All my previous experience with life proved that. Today, I do not have to struggle or exert my will. If I take those 12 steps and let my higher power do the real work, my alcohol problem disappears all by itself. My living problems also cease to be struggles. I just have to ask whether acceptance or change is required. It is not my will, but His will that needs doing. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading and some beautiful stuff. Ah, man, we're already past the 10-minute mark, and golly, I could talk about all 4 of these readings once again, story of my life. But I love in the big book here, page 68, we never apologize to anyone for depending upon our Creator. We can laugh at those who think spirituality, the way of weakness, paradoxically is the way of strength. The verdict of the ages is that faith means courage. All men of faith have courage. They trust their God. Here it is. We never apologize for God. Instead, we let him demonstrate through us what he can do. The fact that I'm sober today, it's a miracle. And if you're listening, the fact that you're sober today, as I always say, you're a miracle. I tried through my own willpower so many different ways to stop. So many different ways, right? And I could not. I tried. Believe me, I tried. But it was finally when I surrendered and I gave in and I said, I can't do this. I want to live. And if I kept drinking, I was going to die. I was going to lose my marriage. I was going to lose my children. I would, and I know me. I know what I would have done. I would have continued to drink, feeling sorry for myself, and eventually drank myself to death. Or worse, got in a car while drunk and killed somebody else. That's where I was headed. Jail, institution, or death. So the fact that finally, through enough circumstances and enough pain, I realized I surrender. I can't do this. When I finally let go, that seemed to be the turning point in my life, where the God of my understanding took over. And it was almost like he said, son, I've been waiting for this. Why don't you finally let me handle this? So I darkened the room to AA, and I listened to people far wiser than me. I was attracted by the fellowship, and eventually I would work the steps. And now the fruit of the Spirit for me is, well, one, I don't have to drink anymore. Two, I don't hate myself anymore. And three, every area of my life has improved. My marriage is better. I'm a better father. I'm a better friend. But I owe all the glory to the fact that my higher power worked through these steps. And I was talking about compound interest, right? The little effort that I did is nothing compared to what he did and continues to do. Because I just thought AA was not drinking. I've gained so much more than that. But going back to the page 68, instead we let him demonstrate through us what he can do. We ask him to remove our fear and direct our attention to what he would have us be. And at once we commence to outgrow fear. Let's just use the miracle of sobriety as an example. Now that I know that the God of my understanding can perform miracles, I know that if he can help me be sober, what else can he help me do? But here's the irony, right? I think it was the 24 hours a day that talked about this. The happiest I ever was, and the happiest I ever am, is when I help somebody else. Isn't that ironic? Because all the times that I would try to do things that I wanted to do, for some reason, it never gave me what I thought I wanted. And yet, when I tried to do step 12, carry the message and practice these principles in all my affairs, when I try to do this, and I work with others and help others, and it doesn't just have to be alcoholics, just anybody. I love helping people. Somehow, I feel peace. I feel joy. I don't want to drink today. That sounds insane. That sounds like such a paradox. But once again, my life proves it to be true, at least for me. And then finally, self-restraint. I always heard, when you're about to blow, when you're about to lose it on somebody, right? Halt. Look at the root cause of why you feel this way. Are you hungry, angry? Are you lonely or tired? And then for me, pray. For me, I love to be outside. Like, go outside and take a walk for a minute before you say something you regret. Look at my part in the situation. That's the only part I can control anyway. I love this line on 91. We need not be discouraged when we fall into the error of our old ways, for these disciplines are not easy. We shall look for progress, not perfection. For me, it's been all about practice. Practicing these principles in all of our affairs. Not perfecting them. I used to be one where early in sobriety, if I did something I used to do while I was drinking, maybe it was, choose any one of the 7 deadly sins, right? And this is while I'm sober. Here's what my old thought process used to be. Rob, here you go again. You are that snake. Yep, that's the same selfish side of you that you were all about when you were drinking. You haven't really changed. You're fooling yourself. You hear that self-talk? That's all lies. So here's how I try to say it now. All right, Rob. You know you did wrong, man. Okay, what can you do to right that wrong? All right, is it anything you can control? Okay, do that. All right, now let's move on, buddy. Help somebody else. So a little bit better because it's practice, man. It's not, we're never going to get it completely right. But the nice thing is we can get right back on the horse. I mean, it's all about progress, not perfection. And I just think what an honor it is to be here today to try it again, to work this program. Anyway, I have rambled on way over. I am so sorry. But if you are sober today, my friend, I hope you know that you're a miracle. And you are giving a great gift to those around you, and you do have a unique superpower to help the next suffering alcoholic. And if you are not sober, my friend, you're a miracle as well. Your story's not done yet. And you have worth and value, and you're worthy of recovery. So I pray that you would get the help that you need today. And my friends, keep those personal stories coming. I'd love to share your experience and strength and hope on the podcast. We haven't had a story in a while, so I'm just throwing this out there in the universe to see if somebody will send in an email and I can carry your message to the next suffering alcoholic out there. But my friends, if we are given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.